2024, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 499. I do have a couple things I'd like to start out with today. First of all, I want to wish Shana Tova and Happy New Year to all of our customers out there that are celebrating Rosh Hashanah. And hopefully you're not here, but if you are, we won't tell if you won't. So hopefully you're taking the day off and enjoying it. Jody liked that one. Second thing I wanted to mention is Tom Harvey on the call. Tom, if you're here, would you raise your hand? He wasn't sure he could make it. I don't see him. I wanted to share something, though. I had a great conversation with Tom about an 8-year subscriber of ours. He is the guy that a month or so ago he came on and he had great things to say about appointments today. He's gotten 5 appointments from him already, or 5 good leads. But he mentioned something to me that I really think is worth sharing with all of you. He decided he was going to dig a little deeper into, contacting the attorneys, because he's doing great with the executor side of it. Never really done much, so he's really started taking a look at his leads, and he noticed one that looked kind of peculiar. So he called him, and the company is a professional legal guardian service. It's a company that specializes in helping legal guardians. And first of all, he said they were a little reluctant to talk to him. Well, our information's confidential. And so I'm not asking you for any name and numbers. Can I tell you what we do? And he had a great conversation with them. And he basically told them, I offer all of these services to people or to executors once the property's gone into probate. I'm assuming a good number of your people, once they need a legal guardian, probably going to need a lot of the same services. And anyway, just on the basis of one conversation, they have referred him to 3 local attorneys, 3 local probate attorneys. And he has got a relationship with them. They're going to, when they do take over the guardianship of someone who's not capable of maintaining their property anymore, they're going to get in touch with him, to help out and hopefully get it listed. And to me, I talked to Tim about it. It's kind of fascinating because we talk about getting there first. We talk about pre-probate, shortly after the death. And this is actually pre-death. I mean, it's when it's at the earliest possible point that someone may need your services. So anyway, originally we assumed that this might be something peculiar to Washington State, but I did a little bit of digging. Alyssa, I don't know if you have that link, you can put it up, but I actually found a link, and it does appear to be something I found anywhere from 6 to a dozen or 15 counties in every companies in every state that fulfill this function. In Florida, there is an Office of Elder Affairs that if somebody needs a legal guardian and they can't afford it, it's like a public defender for them. The state of Florida appoints one and foots the bill. So Tim and I had said this may be something we add to our wheel of probate. Talk about not necessarily pre-need, but certainly way before it ever becomes a probate. Alyssa just posted the link where you can go in and find the companies in your market. And I like to give you guys a homework assignment. Whether it's 3 or a dozen, call some of those people this week, and very similar conversation. Hey, I'm helping people, executors. How can I help with the same services when you take over the guardianship of someone? And that's all I got to say. Tim, what do you have to add this week?
Well, for those of you who are not on the Zoom call, who are looking through and seeing this on the streams, the website is guardianship.org, guardianship.org. And the cool thing about this that I found is that, I'm kind of familiar with the Guardian Ad Litem program, which is basically, a state provided thing in every case for children who are in potentially unsafe or inappropriately managed environments. In other words, their parents are not available to take care of them, or there are issues with the parents for other reasons that they want to make sure the kids are taken care of. So there are a lot of people who do wonderfully devoted things to work in the Guardian Ad Litem program. And I knew about that. I did not know about this program at all. And it's interesting that as long as we've been involved in what we're doing, this hadn't really come up before. So, when Jim started digging into it, not only did I find that it is a, very valid program, and there are lots of places. Jim did all the research to go dig, but in addition to that, these people are very highly compensated people. They typically they're servicing 3 or 4 at a time. It's not one to one. It's a business for them, and they're making significant 6-figure incomes doing this. And so you would expect that not only are they competent, but hopefully they're providing a lot of expertise. The reason that I'm kind of digging a little deeper into what Jim said is that they're people who specialize in everything that you're looking at, particularly on the pre-probate side. They should be very familiar with most everything going on in the market, what happens in the courts, both pre-need and at the time of death, all the organizations and all of that. And at the very least, it's someone that you should know, and you can go to them because I suspect that they're looking for additional people to add. I don't know how they're compensated. We haven't met with them yet. We're going to, but we don't really know how their compensation gets figured out. I'd be surprised if the state is paying them that kind of money. So in theory, it may be coming out of the finances of the person for whom they're providing the care as a fee for services. Don't know. What we do know is that if they're getting that kind of money for it, then the assumption would be that they have a lot of expertise. So go to that website, put your locale in, see what you can find, and quickly reach out to those people. I got to tell you, I think that there's potentially a gold mine there, certainly of expertise, if not a quid pro quo that you can potentially establish a relationship with and not only share information back and forth, but these professional guardians, they're somebody you definitely need to be involved with.
And Tim, just a couple of add-ons to that. If they are paying a significant monthly fee to the guardianship, they have assets. So they likely have significant real estate of significant value. And when you do go to that site, just hit the tab that says Find a Guardian, and you just put in your state. And like I said, it averaged anywhere from there was like 8 in Idaho to about 30, 40 of them in California. But you good chance I think you'll be able to find one in or close to your immediate market. And reach out and please, give us some feedback. Let us know.
Yeah, I think that's a real good find. And I think the other thing that it brings up is now we're in our 10th year of doing this, and this is not a new program. These folks have been doing this for a long time, and it's just not something we've run across before. At least I haven't. Bruce, have you at all ever heard of them? No.
Nope, never heard of them.
Yeah, Steve, have you?
No.
My nephew works for the county. He's a guardian ad litem. He works for and he had never heard of it. So
And Bill's on a call. Yeah. I don't know if Bill's heard of him or not out there on the West Coast.
Nope.
Bill, have you ever heard of the adult version of the guardian ad litem program, the Guardianship, where they're basically caring for people on a professional basis? You're muted there,
East and west. He's going east and west.
I asked you to unmute, Bill. You there you go.
Yeah, no, I have not heard that.
Yeah, go check out guardianship.org. It's a pretty interesting thing that we ran into. They work like the guardian ad litems do for kids, but they work with seniors and basically people who are declared incompetent or incapable of preparing for themselves. And someone just typed in here, Wendy said in Michigan it is very common for that to happen. And that's interesting because we've not ever seen that. Hey, Wendy, I'm going to ask you to unmute. I want to ask you a quick question. Would you unmute yourself, please?
And somebody just compared it to Britney Spears and her dad. They're pretty similar. Yeah.
Probably truth to that.
Yeah. Do you work with them or do you run
I have
into
a
them?
friend who used to own one of those companies, and
there was 4 gals that owned the company, and they all averaged on having between 100 and 150 got people that they were guardianship for. Some of them were people that were from the state that paid them, and then some of them are people who are wealthy but just don't have the capabilities taking care of their own finances, and they would take care of everything they needed, including running them to doctors' offices, etc.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool. So it's kind of a multi-purpose, I guess maybe it's less defined. It's like, what would a guardianship actually be? And it's not all just a legal program, but it's also a help and care program, maybe coordinating care and all that.
It's basically they're a guardian to take care of those persons' wants and needs, and they have to make sure and take care of them. Some of the people are in nursing homes, so they have to make visits there to make sure they're being taken care of the way they should be. Like I said, take them to doctor's offices, make sure that their house is taken care of, hire home care people, whatever needs to be done. They are a true guardian for that person because they're not capable of taking care of themselves. And it is, and most of them are all, they work through the probate court because they're court appointed.
So it's the same court that does probate?
Yes.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
And I dealt with it in the respect that you're talking here is my friend, whenever she had a house that needed to be sold, then I would be the listing agent.
Yeah, sounds like maybe you ought to renew that relationship with whoever inherited that business, huh?
Yeah. Other than
Yeah.
I'm not ready to retire, so I'm not working on it.
I got it. Well, thanks. That's great feedback. I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyway, so that's, I think it's a great resource, and we're going to dig into it more on a more national basis and see what we can do to help you interface with those people better, and what are good ways to interface with them and all of that. But I thought it was a great resource we unearthed with Jim's conversation, so that's a good thing. Yeah, good, Jim. That cover it?
That's it. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, listen, Bruce, you're muted. It looks like you're trying to talk, bud.
No, I was chewing on a sweet tart.
Well, that's very different. It's very, very different. Hey, listen. So, as always, folks, we're here for you today, and I'll kind of say the same thing I always do. I don't want to beat this to death, but this is your call, not ours. We definitely want to hear from you. We want to have conversations, about what's up to you, what's important to you. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, there is a raise your hand button. Click on that. Your hand will appear. We will see it, and we will talk with you. And it's not a hot seat on this call. We're here to help. We don't operate that way. And hey, Sheila, how are you? You took me right up on it. What's up?
Well, we've had all kinds of activity here at Team Bergadomo with probate this past couple of weeks. I just kind of shocked. One lady that I had called about a month and a half ago, she said, "Oh no, that's not me, my daughter. Here's my daughter's phone number. She's the one who's in charge. It's her dad's place." So out of the blue, I put her in a call back for a couple of weeks later. I called the daughter 3 days ago. And she says, I was looking all over for your contact information. I remembered the conversation I had with you. I got the paperwork. I got my letters of administration. I'm ready to get my dad's condo sold. So I sent Paul, my boss, over to take a look at the condo. He said, it's in pretty bad shape. The hurricane destroyed the whole first level of it, but this was on the second level. And he said, I think we could sell it, but it's only going to bring in about 90 grand. So contacted them, got the Zoom call because they're both up in Pennsylvania, the mother and the daughter, got them both on the Zoom call, got the attorney's information. But when we called the attorney, his house was inundated from the storm. And so they emailed him, basically told him that what we could sell it for. He sent back an email, go for it. So that's going to probably go under contract within the next week or so. Another, well, the one that had all those properties, I don't know if you remember me talking about, he had a lot of properties on the waterfront in Hudson. All the houses that we had listed for him have to come off the MLS because they're storm savaged.
Ooh.
And then another probate listing appointment was set for next week. The lady she lives up in West Virginia. It was her son's place, and it's been out of probate for a long time, over a year. I just keep on contacting her occasionally. Finally caught her while she was actually going through her son's stuff, and I said, you don't have to do that alone. We'll, help you with the estate sale people, et cetera, et cetera. And she was kind of, well, I really don't want to sell this house. And it's a $350,000 house sitting empty, not storm damaged. I finally just coddled her over the phone and said, I've been talking to you for a while. I know. I apologize, keep on putting you off. I said, well, since you're down here, can we at least come over and take a look at the house and give you an evaluation of it? So I set that appointment for next week too. So good things are happening. Bruce, how do you have any family out in the western part of North Carolina?
I do. My sister's there. She moved there 1 week before the storm. She moved to Asheville. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I
Got
had
an
lived
art
in
studio up in the River and Arts District, and it quickly got flooded.
Oh, of course, it's
Oh,
right there
no.
on the that darn French Broad.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I lived in Asheville for about 3 years. A lot of my friends are, they've lost everything. That's
Yeah.
even worse than it was down here in Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
I mean, they were
not
so
fun.
sadly ill prepared, and not because they didn't prepare. It's just you couldn't prepare. It's like this was so unexpected. We have friends that live at Lake Lure, and Jim and I know, and they were up and high enough on the mountain, they didn't have a problem, but everything going in and out of there is wasted. And I heard this morning on a show that they may end up, even though the dam didn't give way, they may end up having to drain the lake temporarily. It'll take them months to draw it down enough without, causing a problem. We have to drain the whole lake to fix the dam because it pointed out some critical flaws in the dam. And, that's such a beautiful recreational area. The people that live around there, they're going to be without the lake for probably a year and a half if they end up having to do that. So
Yeah, and Chimney Rock, it's just done.
Right.
Just
I'll say one other thing that I heard in a discussion, and I'm going to amplify it. It wasn't exactly said this way, but this is kind of a human nature thought process. If you did own property in an area that, around you was damaged, a lot of it was damaged, and yours wasn't, the chances are pretty good, since this was a once in a forever kind of a lifetime experience, your property's in a pretty good spot. And
Right.
there are people that are there that are saying, it's going to take a long time for the community to come back, but my place is safe. And I don't know that I want to be here through all of that. I think it's a great time to move it. So I think and I'm not trying to say pick over the bones of people with trouble. What I'm saying is there are going to be people who are going to make a selling decision now that wouldn't have occurred to them, 2 months ago.
Mhm.
So it's something to think about. That's
But
editing.
your sister's safe, right, Bruce? She didn't get any.
She's safe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
She's
good.
she's safe.
Jim, is
Sheila,
Darcy's wedding going to go through or not? Do you know?
nope, wedding was postponed till February.
Because they were going to get married at the Biltmore, right?
Yeah, a friend of hers. Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Sheila, I wanted to ask you, you guys have been with us a long time. I always mispronounce the name, but you're part of that team.
Oh yeah,
And-
you should have heard me when I first started working.
What's the proper pronunciation?
Vergadamo.
The Vergadamo team. When I originally talked to the Vergadamos, you guys have been with us a good 3-4 years, I think, or maybe
Good
longer.
Irish
More
But is it longer than I had no idea that you were doing that well. What are you doing that's working? What's the single? Because you just qualified for the word of the week about 3 times there with your deals. What are you doing? What are you doing that's working the best? Maybe share with our subs.
Well, I know Bruce told me not to do this, to investigate things before, just dial through it, but I don't. I mean, I'll go in and I'll look at the obituary and I'll look at the heirs and I'll put that information in my CRM, and then when I do get a hold of the PR, I said, well, what does the rest of the family think? Things like that. And I said, well, looks like you have a couple of brothers and sisters, and I'll know a little bit of background about them. But the thing that's working out for us right now that makes us stand out as the go-to realtor in Tampa Bay is we're the only AI certified real estate team now. We're using AI technology to find buyers, to do all of our marketing, to do our listing presentations and everything like this, because it just so fast, and
Yeah.
it gives us a lot more time to do what we do best, which is talk to people.
That's great. I was having a conversation with Tim this morning. I got my mail-in ballot for Florida, and I started Googling the judges. And after I Googled the second one, the third one showed up. After it knew what I was doing because so many people had done it previously. Didn't even have to put it in. I mean, it's getting next level good. So the fact that you're using it as a early adapter it's got to put you ahead of the crowd. That's great.
Yeah, we work with Nick Krem. He's a 29-year-old kid who started out as a telemarketer in a real estate office in his early 20s, and he and his brother just got into this the chat GPT and the AI, and now they've just taken it to the next level. There's all kinds of tools that they've developed and really help a lot. It's really a good service. I think it's going to be people aren't even going to use search engines anymore. They're just going to use chat GPT to ask questions.
And what I was talking about was built into Google. Even if you're using search engines, they're building in a lot of these AI tools. So
Yeah, they are.
yeah, everybody's going to be using it, but you get there early. Well, good for you. And it sounds like you're calling too. I mean, obviously.
Oh yeah, I mean my boss asked me last week. He said, "Sheila, what do you think your best asset is?" And I was like, "To this company?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "My mouth."
And I would add to that possibly your empathy. I can tell the way the approach you're taking. You've got a lot of empathy for the people, and I think it comes through. That's great.
Thanks.
Sheila,
We have
shades
a
of
project
Hollywood
we're
Renee.
working on. We're looking to replace Jim with an AI. Could you have your guy call me and I want to replace Jim? Can you do that?
I can definitely get you his contact information. He'll be
Oh, that's
sending you
great.
kinds of emails.
That'll qualify you for the win of the week for a while.
You interrupted Steve. Steve had a good point to make, and you interrupted him with that rudeness. Go ahead, Steve.
I said that Sheila is shades of Hollywood Renee, for those who've been around a long time. A lot of empathy out there in Hollywood, just did a lot of great work.
Thank you.
So good for you, Sheila, particularly under the circumstances.
Yeah, we
now
appreciate
with
you
Tampa
guys a
where
bunch.
you're at.
You guys are innovative. You've done a lot of good things, and the thing I think is cool about your group is that you guys try a lot of stuff, and it's like you're always testing new things and trying to grow and do things. Speaking of that, by the way, I have a box of pins with your name on it. I don't know if you know that. We still have a bunch of your pins for some more pin mailing, so we'll get back with you. You said the lady didn't know how to find you. Get some of these pins out to them. I just saw them the other day. We were moving some boxes around at the office because we were selling our old building, and so we're cleaning some things out. And one of the big boxes that we have is filled with some of your pins. So,
Yeah, I've got tons of these pens.
there you go. There you go. All right. Well, listen. Thank you for hopping in here.
Thanks.
Stay safe. Hey, Coley, what's up, man?
Hey, how's everybody living?
Good.
So I have a question about a virtual deal. So I had reached out to an admin. Well, he's awaiting to be appointed admin, and he said his mother passed away 45 days after she had moved to Santa Clara County in California. and she has a property in SoCal, a mobile home with the land owned underneath, and he's ready to sell. So I was trying to figure out how to strategize as far as being able to acquire that property, being that it's in state, but it's out of county. So my game plan was to start looking around, see what cash buyers are in that area. Also maybe connect to some realtors as well as maybe hire someone through TaskRabbit to go into the home, take some pictures. That way I can kind of assess the value and save myself time from flying to SoCal. So I just wanted to see what you guys think.
I gotta ask you a quick question. You said they own the land under the trailer?
I believe so, yes. When I had
You better verify that. Where in California is it?
I think we said somewhere in the Redlands.
Yeah, it depends on where it is, and Bill can talk to this better than I can, but I mean, if it's in Orange County, chances are pretty good they don't own its lease, that the land is not theirs to begin with, and that's the case in a lot of places in California, particularly in mobile home parks. They own the trailer, but they don't own the land.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd advise you first to make sure that you verify the ownership of is it on and it doesn't mean that you can't transfer the land lease. They're usually, like in Orange County, they're 100-year leases in some cases, but you got to make sure that, it's a transferable asset.
Yeah, that
Make
makes
sense?
sense. Yeah, for sure.
So just, and you easily should be able to get that if they've got to ask them what are they deeded separately? All that sort of stuff. Ask the normal question. And I'm sorry, I was so anxious to say what I said, I forgot your question, bud.
Oh, just as far as trying to acquire the property, so of course I'm gonna try to wholesale it if I can. So I was just trying to think about how to accomplish that. So I'm saying networking with local cash buyers, realtors, as well as maybe hiring somebody to go out there, check the property, send me some photos and videos of it. That way I don't have to fly out there myself and see it.
Yeah.
How much do you think it's worth?
Well, I think he said it was approximately like 275, so I'm going to run some comps and see what stuff is going for in that area, and then when they get closer to getting appointed administrator, then I can hopefully lay a contract on the table.
Hey,
What
Coley, in chat, Raul is in that area. He listed a phone number to reach out to him, if you can
Sure.
see it in the chat. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
And what age is the mobile home?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I imagine it's an older home before the 2000s, so I'm not too sure, to be honest. So,
Well, I mean, for that kind of money, it sounds like that they're including the land in it, because
mm,
other than that, an older mobile home is certainly not worth that kind of money.
mhm.
Yeah. Pre-1978.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting opportunity for sure.
Mm.
Before, and obviously the issue there is that, the quicker you can get back to the people and say, hey, I'm willing to, do the work for you, but I need a contract that allows me to do this to represent you. So, get something on paper before you go spend a lot of your time. That's your most valuable commodity.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Tim, I don't know if you see that question there from Colette about appointments today. That's something, I don't think Matt's here today, but that's something maybe we could pose with Jody. You see the chat there?
I do. Yep. I do. Just make sure we finish up here with Coley. Coley, is there anything else, bud?
No, I think that covers the bases. I definitely will get some more clarification, and then yeah, I'll connect with Raul. Appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah. And, Evie said the same thing. Redlands is a very nice area. And, she's right about that for sure. I mean, if the land is included in it, I mean, there are several questions to ask. I mean, what kind of a park is it in? What are the rules of the park? I mean, there are a lot of stuff you got to know if you're dealing with that. It's like homeowners association and all. Have you done any mobile home stuff before?
No, it's a niche I definitely want to get into. That's like the big picture. If I can have a mobile home park, that'd be beautiful.
Okay, cool. Cool. Rebma, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Amber Coleman. David Bell invited me to this chat or webinar. So thank you, David, for that again. I just got into the wholesaling space, and I did a bunch of calling around to get the owner on the line today for a distressed home not too far from where I live. Come to find out that both of the owners are deceased, like for 10 years now. I spoke with the daughter. She didn't have much information about the property or who owns it. It's her and about 4 other siblings that I called. I didn't get any of the other siblings on the line, but she was at work. She couldn't really talk that long, but the general information that she gave me was they didn't pay it off. Once it got damaged, like water damage, they just packed up and left over 10 years ago, and it's just still there. So I did email the township in New Jersey and seeing if they can give me any information about who owns it and going from there. I'm just waiting to hear back and wondering if you guys have any information that can point me in the right direction.
What township is it? And Steve, you certainly can help here as well, I think, but what township is it?
Pemberton.
So typically the township has a tax, most of the tax records are online. You could,
Right.
you probably should be able to find it by going to the township or county website and put the information in, and that should tell you who owns it and all the other information that you need and whether the taxes are current and all that. That's most areas have that now. Have you tried that?
You're back on mute. Let's get you to unmute yourself.
I have. So I looked in public records and it's still showing the husband and wife who is deceased as the owners.
But when you say public record, did you look at the county record or just one of the other record systems?
The township records. I did not look at Burlington County's records.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, and you know, I mean, you may want to try that if you didn't look there, but typically that stuff is, if it's been that long, you know, it may well not have changed hands. You know, like you said, it may still be showing exactly what it was. That's one of the things about stuff happening with probate. They didn't have to do anything with it. It's probably not something they dealt with, but that's typically the first place I'd go. And like other people said, any suggestions, anybody else?
Tax assessor's office, just to see if tax has been kept up to date, to see where it is when they were last paid, and maybe they know who paid it. They may not know that. They probably don't care as long as it does get paid.
And you do have an estimate of where the mortgage would be if it's still instated. Is that correct? Do you know what kind of mortgage there might still be on it? And I know that they don't know. I'm just wondering if you could kind of work the math backward and figure it out on your end.
Based on the different sites that I've navigated through, like PropStream, stuff of that nature, and the public records, and I'm a realtor as well, so I looked on the MLS as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they owe about 60 grand is what it was saying.
Got it. You can, what's it worth?
It's worth 275 is the estimated value.
Okay. So, I mean, you've got something here. The family might not have an emotional commitment to it, but talk to the woman, the person you got a hold of, try to get the other family members. I know that they don't know what's going on with it, but it's likely that, I mean, it's possible that it's still in their name. You need to kind of drop an if I could get you guys more than what's owed on the property right now, which is probably much more than that at this point, is my guess. If I could, is it something that you guys would even want to explore? And they'd be kind of silly not to explore that, but you never know. Let's kind of use an if I could, would you approach before you go so super deep down this path, because I want to make sure that they'd even be willing to take a profit. Sometimes people are like, nope, I'm just done with it. I don't want my money. I'm done with it. I'm not going to cooperate with anything. So figure out if you have a family that's cooperative before you go chasing rabbits.
In the event that they don't want a profit, how would that work? How would
Well, normally, if they don't want a profit, they're probably also not going to want to cooperate. So you're kind of asking if they want to profit. If they say no, they might cooperate with you, but they probably won't. I think I would drop the idea of, hey, you guys thought you were done with this. You didn't know that you might have some equity here. I can help you get it. Would you want to explore that? Kind of see if that's even a possibility for them first.
Yeah.
And I think what Bruce is also saying is you got to find some motivation somewhere. You know,
Mhm.
there's got to be, if you don't find any motivation, then, you know, you're pushing a rock up a hill at that point. You've got to find some reason for the people to want to work with you, and, you know, find some form of motivation to make that work. Otherwise, you need to find a different target maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's good opportunity, but great opportunity with an uncooperative owner isn't anything. So talk to you already established contact with one person. Go back to her. I would do the same thing with with the other three if she doesn't give you anything, and just see if they can come to the table and agree that, hey, there might be something here when we thought there wasn't. That's going to be your first priority, is just figure out if there's conversation that they're willing to have.
Sure. And if there was never a will that was done by the deceased parents, then does it just stay with the county, stay with the township forever until someone buys it from the county?
Somebody's making payments. If either they are or aren't making payments. If they aren't making payments and they've been deceased for X number of years, then whoever holds that mortgage would have foreclosed by now. So
Yep.
somebody's paying for it.
Right.
So that's one of your first points to consider, is somebody's paying that mortgage off. If it's not the parents, then is it coming out of the estate? Somebody's in charge of the finances there.
Mm-hmm. And if let's just pretend that it just kind of got lost in the banking system, and there's not that there would be a foreclosure, but the banks just kind of lost the paperwork, which happens. If that is the case, then maybe no one is making the mortgage payments. I mean, if that's the case, there's a couple of other hoops to jump through, but let's just pretend it's not, and they are making the mortgage payment. If there's no will, it does still go through probate. It still goes through a similar process to probate. So just because there's no will doesn't mean that it stays with the county. Someone just needs to go petition and file for probate first. And that's really what you're needing at the moment, is just get that initial filing going and make sure that they're willing to file.
Okay. Thank you for
Okay.
that.
Yep.
No problem. Nidra, I saw you had your hand up. We'll get to you in just a second. Colette, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. I want to ask you a quick question here because I do want to help you. Say a little bit more, just a tad more detail on what you're asking for here in regard to the telephone side of this.
Okay. First of all, can you hear me? Did I unmute?
Fine.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, good. Because I'm going to apologize. I'm actually under the weather, so I have a hacky cough with our Texas ragweed weather. So please be forgiving if I stop and cough.
No problem.
So appointments today. I mean, Matt, first of all, is fantastic. I love him. And I have had, I think, about 13 nurtures that have come out in the last 5 months. However, 0 of that has translated into a listing for me as a realtor. Either they actually did not have property, or the property was not a property that could be sold. And what I think is very interesting is that I randomly went through my listings or my leads with you guys, randomly picked someone that wasn't called and got a listing. And I kind of was asking myself, well, where is the disconnect? Because I've been on other calls where we've discussed, like, okay, moving forward, they are in a position where they need to be trained on what your type of service is, what your features are, what the objection answers would be if they were making phone calls on your behalf. And of course, for me, as going back to when I first started with ATL, I mean, the appointments, I mean, usually it was 2 or 3 actual appointments that were scheduled a month. They didn't always translate into a listing, but it was more than just a, hey, give this person a call back. They might be doing something in the next, 6 weeks to 6 months. And so to me, it seems like, I heard at the beginning of the call that there was another person that's doing really great. And I'm just, thinking, okay, well, I obviously need to go to Facebook and listen to that call, because when I typed up the list and I had that initial phone call with Matt about what I do in my business and how I want those calls to be. And sometimes I'll see on there, where the appointment today person said, okay, well, I talked to them about probate cash. That's not even something that I push in my business. It's on my flyer because I think it's interesting, and I think that there's always a possibility and an opportunity for anything. But that's not something that I have on my list that is a feature that I do with my business. My business is more of a cares method. I do consignments, I do auctions, we do real estate, we'll do the staging, we do the estate sale. I am a full-blown, full-service realtor who's been doing probate now for 14 years. So I, in October, have to find a way to justify spending another $6,000 in 6 months if I'm not seeing anything from it, because my budget going into 2025, it might differ than 2024. And
Sure.
I don't know that that would be something that I would want to justify, because if I'm picking up and getting a listing randomly from my leads that I'm doing with you guys, then I'm paying and justifying that cost. But how do I get that to connect with appointments today?
Okay. And Matt, I unmuted you and I'll ask you to speak in a second. I just wanted to, I want to make a couple of points here, and I'll say this. We've talked to a lot of our folks, and we've talked to people who are being very successful, people who are having results not dissimilar to what you're finding. And I think part of the more appropriate situation in terms of dealing with this is the right expectation need to be set. And I think that's the critical element in this, is that you're trying to cut the timeline down. We're trying to make sure that, and I'm going to use this term very broadly, that, appointments today is not hanging paper. They're not giving you back data that says, oh, we got a nurture and this person's ready to rock and roll, or, they're willing to talk to you or whatever, just to, fill out a form, make it look good. And so we're being real careful with them, and they're similarly being careful about the same thing, that, we're trying to make sure that the data that they're giving you back is actionable and works well. And I think from my perspective, and then Matt, I do want you to comment because you're here. From my perspective, the people that we're talking to that are doing well, that are getting results, that, are getting appointments, that are finding actionable stuff, they're doing it because they have definitely made sure that they've given Matt's folks some bullet points to work with that are the things that, they want to get across, and make it clear what you do and don't want to talk to. If you want only to talk to people that fall into a particular category, then Matt's people need to know that. And don't waste my time if you don't have this. If that's the case, then I think you come back, if you get things that don't fall into that category, then you've got a significant bone to pick with Matt. Matt, I'm going to go ahead. You're unmuted, bud. Chime in here.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And so when we get on these calls, one of the things that our team focuses on solely is, hey, is this the personal representative, number one? Do they have a home that they want to sell, or at least have a conversation around that somewhere in the future? And then we're pushing all of the incentives. So When we lead with, oh, well, we can give you estate sales and we could do this, most of the time the attorney's already kind of brought up like the top 3 things that most people can offer. And so I know for you, Colette, I mean, with you having an estate sale company, of course, it is very unique and not many people can say that. The nurture element, though, we could set up more phone appointments. The challenge with the phone appointments is that if someone is, let's call it 7 months, 8 months, 12 months away from making some sort of a decision, what we find is that when we push for an actual phone appointment, they generally never show up to them. And so, but if they're like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about selling my home, the probate process is almost done, I'm about to start interviewing agents, that's when we immediately push them into, well, hey, let's have, our probate expert who can also, if it's appropriate, help you sell your home. So that's the part around the nurturing compared to appointments. And with nurtures, I mean, what we find is that 1 out of every 3 of those generally sell within a year to 18 months time. Of course, as we all know in the probate process, there are a lot of things that have to happen first before they get to the point of selling their house. So, I mean, there is a little bit of a time element there. We also have a video system that we just we're putting the final touches on. I'll have that out to all of our clients here very soon so that it'll kind of show how to work best with us and then things that you can do to increase your conversion rate on these leads. Because one of the most important things, for example, is something as simple as a video text message. Right after you get that nurture, hey, you spoke with my assistant, Alex. We make it really easy. All of our people are named Alex. It'll make your life super, super easy knowing that. Everyone's named Alex. You shoot a quick video on your cell phone. Hey, I want to let you know you spoke to my assistant, Alex. I'm really looking forward to calling you again and talking with you the next few weeks. My name is, X. You'll be getting some information from me. Something along those lines really has helped, not just in probate. I mean, in all of the different verticals that we work in, having that simple video text really separates you from all of the other individuals out there that are calling. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I would say is, maybe I would, Colette, encourage you to, you and Matt to get together and maybe, take this directly and sharpen their axe on your behalf, as I said, to nail down what you want, what you consider to be something that you want them to call a nurture when they give it to you. Because what you started off by saying was they've given you a lot of them. That was a nice big number. And but that's not actionable. Well, it doesn't help if that's the case. So, you should have less of them that do meet the right criteria and, tell them when you want to not, when you want them to give up on that one and focus their energy elsewhere. And the more you educate his team, it's just like anybody else. It's not like you're training an employee, you're training a machine to do the job. And, the better they know what you're looking for, the more that you're going to get out of this. But I think what it sounds like to me is that that's probably the missing ingredient. You very clearly elucidated your CARES approach. That's what they need to be leading with. They need to be talking about that and driving that home to the people they're talking about and not extraneous things that you don't focus on. So I think that's the key. And I think after this, Matt, why don't you reach out and talk with her? And of course, we're not, the thing that we're real careful about from our standpoint, from the ATL standpoint, is we don't tell Matt what to do. We don't tell you what to do. The relationship is between 2 of you. So my coaching to you is get with your provider and, help Matt train his people up to do a better job for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And Matt and I do have an appointment scheduled. It's next week. So we've already been there and done that. My thing is that I wanted to know from other people, other subscribers, what their unique features are. We're always looking to enhance our business. We're always looking to enhance our marketing. And there's always great ideas that come up. It's not like I'm a completely original person. I basically, cut and paste my business together based on trial and error and experience that I have from marketing. It's always tweaked and adjusted. And usually about this time of the year is when that tweaking and adjustment starts happening for the upcoming year. So that way, October, November, and December are extremely busy so that I actually have business January, February, and March. That's how it works. And we have done that with Matt. I will say that, you know, I've done it a couple of times. I don't think as a realtor that there's a whole lot of mystery behind what we do as probate. If I'm going in as an investor, I probably have 10 different ways that I can buy your property. If I'm going in just as a straight realtor, then I'm usually going in to be your eyes, ears, and feet on the ground and basically take everything from somebody who most likely is not in the Harris County area in Texas. Most likely, most of the time, they're going to be either out of the city or out of the state, because most of the people that are going to be in the Houston area, not all the time, but most of the time, they've got a realtor that they're working with. I mean, realtors are like attorneys. You can throw a penny in any room and hit 5 of them. So, you know, that's just the way it is.
Got you covered. Well, let us, you know, after you have that conversation with Matt, you know, maybe hop back on and, you know, give us some feedback on, you know, how the training went, and not training, but how that conversation went. Same to you, Matt. You know, I'd like you to come back and, you know, let's address this, because we always want to make sure that we're making sure those relationships are working as well as they can. Because even though it's not our company, it's, you know, we're recommending that, you know, it's a good company to work with, and, you know, we love working with them, and we love the great news that we get from people. So we appreciate hearing from you, and keep us posted. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Hey, I see we got 2 hands up. I will say this: we're at 1:54. I'm going to take your questions, Bernie and Carlos, but we're going to reserve the last couple 3 minutes here for some stuff we want to talk about. So we're going to have to make this quick. Carlos, you're up first. What's up, bud?
So you know, I could, with the time crunch, we could just save it for another time. I'm literally just signed up yesterday. I've only done 2 probates in my 20 years of real estate experience. You know, and I have a call with Bill Bird later, so I'll just save it for then.
Okay, and I see Bill's on here, and he'll be looking forward to talking to you, and come back next week and we'll get after it.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Bernie, what's up, bud?
Yeah, I just joined with appointments today, and I've been a little frustrated in not being able to communicate with Matt or the team very extensively. It's more about fill out a ticket. But the main point I wanted to make, because I heard Matt just lead with the want to make sure you have a property. That's the last thing I want to bring up, is that I'm a realtor. I'm into the concierge service, and I'm not sure I've gotten my message through. I would like the team there, the Alex, to ask about the kind of help they might want, or that I can offer help. And you know, I'm frustrated right now because I took your recommendation with all the leads. I did talk with Matt, and I thought I had a little more say in what was talked about, but I keep hearing that I use Property Plus. I know they have property. I don't need to find out if there's property. And I don't want them to go down that line at all. I would like the emphasis to
Hey,
be
Bernie,
on what can
I
help
think
with.
I
Thank
think we
you.
got what you said, but I would say that is something that, you know, I'll ask that you take that offline and you and Matt talk about that, okay? Because that's not, you know, we're not going to do that here. That's something between you and Matt to work out.
You're right. I appreciate that. I was just frustrated that I haven't been able to get that
I
call
got it.
through.
I heard you.
Okay.
Okay. And Matt, you'll reach out to Bernie after this, and, you know, it's like anything else. Communication is critical, and, you know, you guys are dealing with, you know, a whole bunch of our folks, and, you know, we oftentimes, the things that surface are the things we need to work on, not the things that are going well. So certainly make sure that you guys have that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, I'll close with one that is going well. I spoke to Tom Harvey yesterday. He loves you guys. In 2 months, he's gotten 5 really good leads, and he thinks all of them will list over the next few months. I said, please, when they do, come on the call and let us know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else, you know, the whole point here is that you're saving your time, your valuable time, which is your most valuable commodity, by having these folks do the job for you. And if they weren't being successful, people wouldn't continue to vote with their wallets and purses. And, you know, that's kind of what we always say. So we're looking
I just want to
forward
piggyback on one really super, I know it's a lightning fast. The most important thing, guys, if you call the leads yourself, I mean, you're going to do better than any inside sales rep. You're local, you're an expert, but you brought us in because that was an element of the business that you didn't have the time to do. So, I mean, I think it always goes back to looking at this. Like I mean, I've spent probably $250,000 on different things that didn't work. And the one thing that I spent that on money on that did work has, you know, resulted in a massive amount of growth. So I think the most important thing, and Bernie, I mean, you just started a few weeks ago. So, I mean, you know, of course, I think the most important thing is that we realize it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It does take time. And that's the most important thing, just to realize that, you know, we are customizing things as much as we can. We don't lead with the fact that you're a real estate agent. I just think that's really important. I apologize, guys, for taking up. Tim, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
Oh, that's
I just
fine.
want to
That's
make
fine.
sure
I
I
got it.
interjected.
Yeah, I got it. And like I said, you know, it's always anything that comes up, you know, this call is an open call. That's why we do it that way. And, you know, we want to hear what everybody has to say. And, you know, we've had, you know, nothing but great things come out of the folks' relationship with you guys going forward. And it's always good to hear, you know, everything isn't perfect in the world. So everybody's got work to do, and we need to be focusing on that. Hey, so we started off at the top of the hour, and we're now heading toward the bottom here. We next week is our 500th podcast. I'm shocked and appalled in many cases that we've done this that long, and Jim and I are still speaking, which is a good thing. And you know, we've had a lot of fun doing this. We have a great time talking with you guys, but we are going to do some cool stuff next week. We've got a new product that we're bringing out, not something that we're selling at all. We have a gift for you that we're going to provide next week that we think you're going to find very interesting. We have a lot of conversations, we even had them today, where you know, folks are coming on and they've got you know, I think Coley found a place in Carolina that he was not Carolina, in California, apart from him. And anyway, we're gonna help you do some stuff with putting deals into the system that we can help you with. And so we're going to announce that and throw that out to you next week. We'll have that there. In addition to that, I would urge you to mark your calendar. We are going to be giving a bunch of stuff away next week. Next week, we're definitely not going to be selling anything. We're going to be giving stuff away because we're celebrating and we're kind of excited about that. So we've got some cool stuff coming up. We're looking forward to having you there to join with us. And David, I'm sorry, bud, but we're kind of out of time. If you'll ask your question either via text or whatever else you want to go do, that's fine. But we're kind of at the end of the hour and we try to be respectful of people's time. Please do come back next week and ask your question. We want to talk about it. And Andy, I see you there as well. I know I owe you a phone call. I'll get back to you shortly. Probably call you after this call if I can square the time away. Jimmy, I think it's time to let Bruce take his headache someplace else.
Was that me, or does he actually have a headache? No, I think he actually has one.
Yes, he does.
All right, guys. As I always do, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to particularly thank Wendy, Sheila, Coley, Colette, Raul, Amber, Matt, Nidra, Carlos, Bernie, and David for trying at the end. I want to thank all of you guys for actively participating. And I want to challenge each of you, take one idea that inspired you on this call. And if you're ever going to show up for a call, come back next week. We got great stuff for you, and share the results of the idea that you implemented. And I would say the one would be for everybody is check out that site we sent you for the professional guardians and give us some feedback next week. Okay, everybody, thank you for being here. Make it a great week. We will see you next Thursday on our 500th call. Take care.